favorite amps by far are tube amps. I've always found they sound a lot better when you turn them up, and especially the Fender Twins was always my favorite amp. And this amp here is an amp that was built by Gerald Weber in Pflugerville, Texas. He owns the Kendrick amplifier company, and a lot of really cool guys like Ian Moore and Billy Gibbons use these things. But I first heard this amp at Charlie's Guitar Shop in Dallas in the early 90s. I used to go over there all the time, and I'd play this amp every time I was there, and I fell in love with it. Well, one year, Mark Pollock, that had worked at, at the time he owned Charlie's Guitar Shop, he brought this amp to the guitar show, and I started playing it again. He had an employee at the time named Terry that was working with him, and they shared with me, introduced me to Gerald, and I got Gerald's number, and I went out to the factory for Kendrick amps in Pflugerville on the way to a gig in Austin, and I got to tour the factory, and right there on the spot, Gerald said, "Let me build you one." So he built me an amp, and I waited about 6 months for the thing to come in, and I anticipated every day, and finally it was ready. It was this beautiful big amp. It looked like a gigantic radio or something, and I got it home, and I got it out of the box, and I started playing it, and it was a really good sounding amp, but it didn't sound like this one. It was more of like a bluesy breakup thing, and I had fallen in love with this sound, which is more like a twin, so I was kind of devastated because I really truthfully wanted this one, but I never told Mark. So I took the amp down to Charlie's Guitar Shop, and I told Mark that I still fell in love with his amp, but I had ordered this one. And he goes, "Well, if you like mine so much, just take that one and leave the other one here." And it was really cool like that. And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, really." And so ever since I've had this one, it's my favorite amp. I've sold and traded just about everything I've ever had except this one. I'm kind of attached to it. It's like one of my kids. And the same way with these Echoplexes. I've had 3 or 4 of them over the years, but when it comes to tape delay units, there's nothing that sounds better than them. But touring and traveling with them is a little bit of a hassle, because sometimes if you don't maintain them well, you'll be playing and there'll be a spool of tape on the floor right in the middle of the gig, and that's a total nightmare. So I don't really tour with these too much anymore. I use a stereo digital echo by Chandler that mimics an Echoplex really well. I've got 2 of those. And then of course my favorite guitar is the Fender Stratocaster. I think it's like a perfectly shaped woman. It's very elegant. I heard a really nice definition of elegance once, is to take the complex and make it simple. And I always thought that Leo Fender did that with this guitar. Nothing could be in a better spot. It's easy to get around on it. It's a beautiful guitar, and it sounds awesome. So this trinity right here, these 3 things are my favorite equipment to play with, and I don't really deviate it from too much. Every once in a while I'll play a Les Paul, but my heart's with the Stratocaster and a good old Fender Twin and maybe an Echoplex. And there you have it.